Everybody, thanks for watching. Merkabah Scholar Society members, make sure you guys check your emails. So the video has been sent out for the building a stock portfolio video and also for the meeting for building a stock portfolio. Those two videos have been emailed to you guys. Make sure you check your emails, watch those videos, follow those steps in the videos to begin the course with the stock trading. So make sure you guys check those videos out. We'll get into the rest in the next video. So yeah, put out a video the other day talking about, Trump's policy and what's going on. A lot of backlash, a lot of emails. People say I'm fear mongering and, scaring people and everything like that. The policy is there for you to see. It's all over the news and CNN and what have you. You can see it for yourself. It's not just coming from me, but it gets deeper. The plot thickens for all this. And you got to really pay attention to what's been put out there. This has been, as I said, Kamala was put out there to be misdirection, to just be a distraction. And I figured that out, just from hearing her plan, her policy. Her policy was just too good to be true. And usually when it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. It's just not going to happen. And it's just something that, when we look at the economy, a lot of people are saying, the economy is terrible. And, she's running on basically fixing an economy that she's already in charge of destroying, right? Now, the general consensus on the economy would be that the economy is doing bad. But when you actually look at the numbers, which we'll get into this in a second, the economy has never been better. And it's crazy because it's amazing how the rising cost of commodities, food, can paint a negative picture on the economy. And that's exactly what has happened. So if you look at Kamala's plan, right, what does she want to do? $6,000 to, top child tax credit. So if you had a baby, she wanted to make sure you got 6 G's when you did your taxes for that child in his first year of life, because it's expensive. And everybody who's had a child, especially lately, you understand how expensive it is to take care of a child, way more. So $6,000 tax credit, right? It was that, $25,000 for housing, all kinds of plans and stuff that was going to make life better and driving down the cost of food, right? So what has driven up the cost of food? So a lot of people are clueless on this, but you got to pay attention to what they're blaming almost everything on. First of all, one, there's a worker shortage because of, this. And I'm just going to show this instead of saying the actual word. You guys know what I'm talking about. Because if I say that word, then it's going to be a problem with this video. But you know what I'm talking about. People get sick. So this is what they're blaming it on. So you got to think about it. Workers being sick or what have you, not being able to farm. It was an issue with that. And that basically messed with production prices and manufacturing costs and so on and so forth, deliveries, all kinds of stuff they blaming it on. So that's one of the things that they're putting towards the rising cost of food. Also, you got to look at the war. We know that had a major impact on energy, right? So rising cost of energy, problem with energy, that's going to trickle down to so many different facets and cause, prices to go up. Now, we use that word inflation, right? Inflation, the economy is doing bad, recession, so on and so forth. And the crazy thing is when you go and look at the numbers, because again, general consensus is the economy is doing bad. The economy is not right. Something is wrong. But when you actually go and look, the economy's been doing great. It's been doing great. And it's never been better based on the numbers. Now, me personally, I'm always a skeptic. I'm a conspiracy theorist to the fullest, but I'm also intelligent. Now, before the election, right? One, this is the thing. If you're watching the news and paying attention to the consensus, paying attention to the popular opinion of what's popular and what people are talking about, and not actually going and look at the data and listen to economists, which you had all the economists, right? You had Nobel Prize winning economists, Nobel Prize winners saying that Kamala's plan will basically drive the economy up and have the economy doing better than ever following her plan. They backed her plan over everything. They said it was great. But like I said, too good to be true, right? So if you go and look at the data and look at the numbers, the economy is doing great. It's doing really well. And it's been doing well for a long time. So what is the issue? And as I said, food, right? The consumer, the normal people who work and we contribute to all this, when we go out and you go to work and you can't really afford groceries, there's a problem. And then if the consumers, if the regular people, I'm going to say under middle class, because middle class is doing fine. When we start complaining, then there's an issue, because these are the people that's going to go vote. These are the people who is watching social media and paying attention to the news media and having input on everything. This is why this whole thing has been driven up, because it's been those people and not actual economists and people who understand what's going on. So when you look at the economy, right, that's what it's saying. The U.S. economy grew at a solid annual rate of 2.8% in July, August, and September, with consumer spending leading the way, according to the Commerce Department on Wednesday. Here are 4 things to know about the latest report on gross domestic product, GDP, which provides the broadest measure of the economy. Consumers are spending freely. Consumers have long been the engine of the U.S. economy, and that engine revved up in the third quarter. People opened their wallets to buy cars, restaurant meals, and vacations. Consumer spending rose at an annual rate of 3.7%, an acceleration from the previous quarter. The consumer is driving the train, as she has been doing. The consumer is driving the train, as she has been doing, and the consumer continues to power the economy forward, says Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. And it says, to be sure, not all consumers are spending so freely. Price-conscious shoppers are increasingly looking for bargains. This week, McDonald's reported strong demand over the summer for its $5 value meals, and the personal savings rate continues to fall, dropping to 4.8% during the third quarter. A strong job market helps. Consumer spending is largely bankrolled by a healthy job market and solid wage gains, which have been outpacing inflation for well over a year. Employers added more than 500,000 jobs during the quarter, and unemployment is hovering at a low 4.1%. As long as people have a job and their wages are rising, that's the basis for continued strong spending, Zandi says. Now, when you look across the board, you're going to keep finding this information, right? Saying here, if the United States economy were an athlete, right now it would be peak LeBron James. If it were a pop star, it would be peak Taylor Swift. 4 years ago, the pandemic temporarily brought much of the world's economy to a halt. Since then, America's economic performance has left other countries in the dust and even broken some of its own records. The growth rate is high, the unemployment rate is at historic lows, household wealth is surging, and wages are rising faster than costs, especially for the working class. There are many ways to define a good economy. America is in tremendous shape according to just about any of them. Let's start with the economist's favorite metric, growth. When an economy is growing, more money is being spent, more stuff is being produced, more services are being performed, more businesses are being started, more workers are being hired, and because of this abundance, living standards are probably rising. On the flip side, during a recession, literally, when the economy shrinks, life gets materially worse. Right now, America's economic growth rate is the envy of the world. From the end of 2019 to the end of 2023, U.S. GDP grew by 8.2%, nearly twice as fast as Canada's, 3 times as fast as the European Union's, and more than 8 times as fast as the UK. So if you're paying attention, inflation is at its lowest since, 2020? 2020 is at 1.4. As of now, it's at 2.4. So it's the lowest since 2020 inflation. And, what is the issue? Food costs. Food costs went up about 28%, right? Since 2019, 28%. So it's food costs. And that's been what people are looking to as the economy, not doing so well. We go to the supermarket and then there's an issue because food is so high. But what we're looking at as far as the economy is not the problem. It's not the economy that's causing this. It's those things I mentioned before with the war in Ukraine, right? Energy costs. Then you have to pay attention to all the weather events and natural disasters drives up food costs. Any type of, this thing will drive up cost, right? So this is what they're pointing to as the cause, the reason for the inflation and the reason why stuff is going up. It's not the economy. The economy has never been better. The economy has been doing good. The actual numbers on the economy, it's better than ever. If you actually want to run on the numbers, you can literally look at the numbers and say, prove it. Tell me we're doing bad when a number says this, right? Numbers don't lie. Numbers are right on point. So, if you pay attention, a lot of the middle class are always complaining. They don't have it as bad as the poor, and the poor don't even get a say so about many things. It's always the middle class, the people that's your managers and supervisors or what have you, people that's getting them checks. It's never enough. But the poor is suffering the most because they can't afford those grocery prices, where the middle class can. It's not really a big deal for them, especially if, inflation is low and if jobs are hiring. You got workers. So here's where it's going to get bad. Here's the problem with all that. So the U.S. Census Bureau, the census and a whole lot of researchers and everybody estimate that 90% of the workers that is basically in charge of, farming and anything that has to do with production of foods and goods in this country, a whopping 90% of these people are probably undocumented. So we're talking about your people that's dealing with the produce, the oranges, so on and so forth. I remember one of my early jobs before I went to the military was working for a company called Picachi Brothers in South Philadelphia, right? And Picachi Brothers my mom worked there, my sister worked there, my neighbors worked there. A lot of people worked there because they're always hiring. And they was basically in charge of bringing all of the produce. Came in on a train, we had to unload the train, and the produce went out. I'm going to tell you, almost everybody that worked there, besides us and a few other people, was probably undocumented, right? It was a really labor-intensive job, lifting 100-pound bags of potatoes. My fingers are still super strong because of that shit. And it was a labor-intensive job. And that's the thing. Americans are not willing to do those jobs. So that's one of the things that's contributing to the problem, to the issue. Americans are not willing to do those labor-intensive jobs and other jobs as well that play a vital role in the prices of food. So again, it's people who really high on deportation and everything like that. Again, it's one of the things that's going to drive food prices up. If you get rid of these people who don't mind going out and, pulling potatoes, apples, dealing with, livestock, cow shit and feeding cows and horses and all that, cutting up, gutting animals and pulling out intestines and cleaning bloody floor. Think about it. It's just stuff that people don't want to do, the average American, where you have undocumented or people who want to work, they're trying to feed their family, don't care what it is. They're willing to do it at a low cost. And you have these companies that's willing to pay the money, right? So on one hand, you have the people, middle class and up, who are doing well, working their cushy office jobs and everything is going good for them. And it is what it is. They are looking at it and saying, hey, as a business owner, if I don't want to compete with these people. I want to compete with people that's paying undocumented, and they're, outpacing me or causing a problem for my business. I'd rather it be Americans. So looking at it, you're saying, get rid of these people, then that way my business is going to flourish more and I'm going to hire people and bring them in. But who's going to do those undocumented workers' jobs? Because if they're gone and I own this company and I try to go hire some people to, be a farmhand, to clean up guts and gut boars and pigs and all kinds, to do all that stuff, who's going to come in and do it? Who's going to want to do it? One, for me to get them in to do it, I would have to seriously raise, the wage. I got to pay them 3, 4, 5 times what I was paying the undocumented worker. because to make it enticing, hey, if you want me to go clean up pig shit and horse guts or whatever, you want me to do all this stuff, then you got to pay me. You got to pay me a lot of money, or else it's not going to get done, right? This segued into so much when you really pay attention. It's deeper than this, because then you're going to have the use or, the need for these robots, right? Robotics is going to come in. And then again, poise. If you're following my stocks and everything I was talking about with the market, we're going to kill on this. Everybody that's in society, we're about to make a lot of money. But if you follow on this, you understand why I'm saying certain companies that's on the forefront of this robotics and this technology. Elon Musk already showed you guys the robots, but there are other companies, right, that's waiting in the wings for this to come down. They're purposely doing this, but there's other companies that's waiting to produce these machines that's going to come in and do these jobs, because it's going to be a problem. But first, they got to give America hell, right? That's how you're going to accept it. You don't want to do the shit? Okay, well, tax dollars going to have to pay for these robots to come and do the stuff that you don't want to do. And it's going to be a need for it. And these companies that can build it and put it out, it's about to make a lot of money with government contracts, which I promise you these companies are basically owned or invested by Trump and whoever else who's waiting for this whole thing to hit the fan, right? That's what's coming. So again, you get rid of these people, it's going to be a problem, but it's also going to present a problem that is going to be, good for businesses who can fix it. It's going to create another need. It's going to create a need for this, a need for that. And waiting is these companies, these manufacturers that already got the solution to the problem, right? And it's going to be done that way. So again, I try to tell you, I told you guys one, look at XRP. It went up, right? Look at Bitcoin. I told y'all by the end of the year, it's going to be at 100K. Trump said it was going to be at 100K. The stocks are going to rise. Crypto is going to rise. It's going to go up. So again, got to invest. You got to understand what's going on, but you got to know what you're doing. Again, for scholars, make sure you guys check your emails, get the stock, build a stock portfolio, of course. But we get into all this anyway in the stock market videos and everything like that. I talk about this stuff. So you guys got to understand. I show you guys my portfolio, a couple of things I'm investing in for my personal accounts. I show you guys that in the video so you see, where I'm at with it. But it's good to understand the agenda and invest accordingly. And a lot of people is going to make out good understanding this knowledge, and others will not. When a problem happens, it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late. So knowledge is power. But you got to look at the economy and look at what's driving stuff down, and those are the things. The housing market is an issue, of course, because what they're saying is it's not enough houses. Not enough houses. It's not just that. It's everything is a trickle down effect. It affects businesses across the board. And then you have labor issues for builders and everything like that with the whole undocumented workers thing. But you also have the banks having problems and the banks not lending as much. What I'm saying? It's a huge problem that people can't get mortgages. And, first-time home buyers are having a problem now. People trying to get into their first home, and it shouldn't be an issue to do that. The program needs more money allocated for that, and it's something that they're working on. But at the same time, it's just so many costs is an issue for new builds, and it's a problem. So that's going to be hit for a while. But we got to, again, pay attention to crypto and what's going to happen and what Trump is actually going to do to the Fed. That's going to determine, interest rates, credit, and how that's going to help, or hinder the housing market, which, to me, it's housing market is what it is. I don't think it's one of those things, me personally, that can really be up or down. People are always buying homes. Either you got it or you don't. The people who got it will buy. It's just a problem for the people who don't, which would be a lot of, new money or new people coming into the housing market, first-time home buyers. That's why that's important, because that's a first-time home buyer. That's like a whole new, ledger or a whole new page in the book. That's more money coming in, and that benefits a lot. So that's why, there's a lot of incentives for first-time home buyers, because it's a big deal. And we got to look at how all these issues is trickling down into that area. It's not just going to be with the housing market. Finances is always going to be an issue and how that's going to affect businesses. But as I just read to you, it's kind of sort of not. Businesses are still booming because people are spending money. So yeah, it's one of the things where, I said before, got to pay attention to the policy. A lot of people wasn't understanding of Trump's policy and plans, because it's no way you could be. He made it as if, and he's still talking about it. Oh, the economy is still horrible and it's worse it's ever been. And it's just not true. It's just not true. It's a fucking lie. It's bullshit. It's just not true. I want you to believe it, but it's just not true according to the numbers. It's okie doke, man. Everything is a setup. Everything is leading up to what's to come, right? Here you had a candidate that basically ran on everything that you would want and said everything, right? And then she didn't get in because people care more about her skin color and the fact that she was a woman than her policy, which was far better than Trump's. And even all the economists took her policy over Trump, right? That's a fact, right? But whether you choose to believe that he was legitimately elected or not, whatever the hell you want to believe, it presents a problem for the economy when it comes to everything that we're talking about here. Because if indeed the economy was doing well under Biden, as the numbers suggest, and the only issue is policies and things that Trump is going to continue and make even worse, this dude shouldn't be in office. And that's exactly what's about to happen, right? Continued, war situation, we'll see what happens with that. Mass deportation, which is going to drive prices up across the board because there's going to be so many issues with it being not enough workers. It's already a problem now. I talked about that in the last video, but over here, especially in the West Coast, it's a worker shortage. It just is. And that's one of the reasons why. So to really get rid of these people and go after them, to have them scared to come to work, it's a problem. And then the huge one, and this is the one that you really got to look for, because if it happens, it's going to be a fucking problem. DACA, if they actually finally repeal that, we're talking about people that's working legally now. Hundreds of thousands of people can no longer work. They got to leave. So one, they got to first leave their job. So it's going to be passed throughout all these companies that these people can't work no more. That's going to be a huge problem. I mean, just think about it. Like, do you understand? Cashiers and waitresses and so many people that's here, especially on the West Coast and any southern states, what have you, is going to be an issue. These people can't work no more. They got to leave their jobs. They're going to be facing deportation. It's going to be a huge problem, right? And we're going to feel that. So that's the big one. That happens. The repeal of DACA, it's going to be a problem. Them lowering the numbers seem to be for whatever reason, but that's something that we got to really pay attention to and look for if it happens. So you're looking at those policies, you're looking at tax cuts. Meanwhile, these rich people get tax cuts. What is coming to remedy the problem for the rise in food costs? Nothing. The only thing that's going to happen is they're going to continue to go up. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get higher. That's the problem. So again, man, looking at the policy and everything under Trump, it's like, okay, what the hell is going on? Not what we thought it was going to be. And then looking at what's going to be the potential problem that we're going to face with the economy, because now the economy's, according to the numbers, doing good. That's going to change, and they expect a recession by next year, by the middle of next year. Recession problem. And he said day one, biggest mass deportation act in history. They've been kicking in doors, according to them. We'll see. So right now, they got to find people to do it. And eventually those immigrants, those people who came in, all that's going to come into play. I talked about that before, what that whole thing entails and how that's going to come into play, and how you can now get these, new immigrants to come in and fill some of these places that it's probably going to be filled quickly. But again, it's all something to pay attention to and, keep focusing on the agenda paying attention to what's being said as far as moving forward with the presidency, what he's going to implement, what he's going to put in place, all these people who he put in different positions, what are they talking about? What are they going to be doing? We're so weak. Like, this weakens us when you pay attention. Like, this is not good, man. And you can think what you want about Trump, but this, even as a business move, but strategically as a country, it's just not smart, right? So we'll see what happens. I mean, again, they're still talking about him getting rid of the Fed trying to convert things over, which they basically already doing that, when you understand what's going to happen, like what is going to happen. It's just so much that, when he gets in, I'm curious, man. I can't wait to see what exactly he does that's going to, cause all these problems, which we can basically see what it's going to be. But it's like, is it actually going to get done? Because remember, when he first got in, he's supposed to repeal DACA. Then when he first became president in 2016, didn't happen, right? And people were pissed about that. Why do these companies? Well, I explained why a lot of these companies want it to be repealed. Labor reasons. Because what they think is, now, with these people gone, we're going to get the workers now, right? We're going to get the workers to come work for us, and that help our business out. The problem is, like, it's a worker shortage because these people are facing deportation and they're scared to work. And if one, depending on the type of company you is, if you have a company where you need workers to do jobs that the average American in polls, because they've been polled about this, and the numbers are hugely against certain jobs that America said they would not work. So if that's your company, you expect Americans to come in and work these jobs at little ass wages, it's not going to happen. So it's going to cause shortages across the board. Again, nobody is working on no damn farm for, under $10. Somebody working on a farm and doing all that work, they want a lot of money. They want a lot. You're not going to find people at those prices to do that kind of work. So that's going to amount to problems with food production. Any type of war, as I said, with China, is going to amount to, shelves being empty. We talked about the whole thing in the, Shopify course and everything like that, and looking at important. I mean, you can get a lot of stuff from DHgate, BHgate, a lot of Chinese wholesale companies, a lot of Chinese manufacturers. I mean, and that's how a lot of businesses run, right? You put 60% tariffs on the imports from China. Like, how are these people going? We might as well make it here. What was the point of, sending everything over there for them to make it for us cheaply? If you're going to do that, might as well make it here. And we don't make it here. We don't produce it here. So it's going to be a lot of things that we're just not going to have if this becomes a problem. But it's going to also become a problem for people that's doing like drop shipping and getting stuff from China, or people who buying in bulk from China. You're going to have to find an alternative, or hopefully they figure something out with their whole thing, because it's going to affect a lot of businesses. It's going to be a huge fucking problem. And the more I keep reading about this, is why I'm doing these videos, because I'm like really into all of it, paying attention. But the more I look at it, I mean, I can see what's coming. I talked about it before. It's going exactly the way I thought it would go. The thing is, one, the misdirection in the policy was the crazy thing, because I will admit, I had no idea, had no clue that the numbers were up, because it just looks like, hey, the numbers must be down if the food prices are so high. What is causing that? But then you gotta kind of, wean out everything. You gotta kind of draw it to some type of conclusion as to what's going on here. And when you go and do the research and look at it, it's those things I mentioned. It's this, and it's the war, and, it's a trickle down effect. Problems across the board. And just people are getting ready for what's to come, and it's just a problem. Big up to the people who manufacture their own stuff, produce their own food, grow their own food. It's going to come in handy coming up. All those doomsday preppers and people who stockpile and everything like that. That shit, I mean, if you bought it, it's going to almost be like stock. If you buy toilet paper now, probably a few months from now, it might be a good idea, but we manufacture toilet paper in this country. So don't go crazy with toilet paper, because we actually make it here in America. So it shouldn't be a problem with that. I'm just saying. But if we stockpile food and certain things that cost a lot of money now, you'll be all right, because it's going to probably be a lot more money for the stuff later. So again, I highly recommend at some point, for the people who can do it, it's, if you're selling stuff, the stuff that you sell, go and grab it in bulk and get a lot of it, especially if it's coming from China. That way you can avoid a lot of issues and hiccups that's going to come. And it's really up to people to be smart and understanding about what they're doing, in the beginning of all this. As I said, as you guys know, the beginning of every presidency, new president, it's a major problem. And we're going to see what that's going to be in a month. So, just want to put this out real quick. Scholars, make sure, again, you check your emails. The links are in the description for consultations. I'm taking consultations next month. Go ahead and book. Link is in the description for Merkabah Scholar Society. We're getting ahead of all of this stuff in the society. So make sure you join. Again, when it goes up, because it's going to go up like everything else. I don't want to hear no problems. So make sure you take advantage now. Links in the description where the price is still low. Take advantage of the consultations while you can before I'm not going to be going forever. Again, you have an opportunity to talk to somebody who has made millions of dollars. I can help you out in a lot of different areas. I've been helping people out for a while now. So, make sure you guys take advantage of all this. And I will see you guys next video. Peace.